everybody, we'll be with you shortly. Everybody, let me just turn the desktop audio off. I did press it to stop, but there we go. Right, so today's stream is going to be about managing behaviour. We have got little Rock with us today, so I'm going to be sensitive to what is said. Hi, hello Brett. We're talking about autism. So, I have got a couple of things ready. I did another PowerPoint as well. If anybody would like the PowerPoint, it would be great if you could drop us a direct message. It's Brett. It would be great if you could drop us a direct message. We have got Discord. I will drop the Discord link at some point. I'll let you know. And here's Mr. Rock as well. He needs a shave. Yes.
I'm in my dressing gown.
It's all cozy rosy.
Beard. It's the winter look.
Little Rock says hi, Brett. He does not need a shave, he said. So, yeah, if you drop us your email on a direct message, I will be able to send you the PowerPoint if that will be useful to you. If not, just if you come across the video on YouTube or anything like that, then just send us your email and I can send you the PowerPoint. So we're going to be talking about managing behaviour, which is a big topic. Obviously, we are only going to cover the basics because behaviour is behaviour. It's wide. It's everything that we do. and it's how we act in any situation, whether it's negative behaviour or positive. There's always a reason why we behave the way we do. So if we get a drink, it's because we're thirsty. We don't do it for nothing. So we smile because we want to be friendly. We cry because we're feeling sad. All those things are all different types of behaviours. And our behaviour is often a response to our environment. Here's little Rock.
Hello, guys.
So it's a response. It's a response to our environment, and our surroundings and the people in it. We might see someone that's sad and want to make them feel better, so we give them a hug. Simple behaviour things that we do. One thing I would like to say before we go into this is our behaviour as no neurological difficulties. Our behaviour is confusing to people with autism. So always they are being challenged. So at times when we feel like we're being challenged by their behaviour, stop and think that our normal behaviour is challenging to them. Things like just wearing perfume can really irritate somebody with autism. So if only we knew how challenging our behaviour was for them. So let's get into it. I'm going to swap screens. I've got a PowerPoint ready. I'm so prepared. And now we're little mini.
Just keep that up there, because some of the YouTube chat's not.
It's not popping up on there. Hi everyone. By the way, I have got it on. It's because I've got it there. Hello, Lids to family. Sorry, I didn't have it on the multi-stream chat, so
My
bear
brain
with
was
us.
confused.
So this is a little PowerPoint I made myself. You're in school. You are, Brett. You're in school right now. I'm just reading the comment. I'm not going to school because I told my mum that this boy who has autism keeps chasing me everywhere and gets his friend now, and it was stuttering gets him, and their other friend told me to. Okay, well, this, you know, if you look back on our other streams about autism, you know, the things that they do is not because they're trying to annoy you or anything. It is just their brain is wired differently. It's kind of like wiring a toaster, right? Hi, blame Ryan. So it's like wiring a toaster. If you wire it wrong, the toast isn't gonna work. It's not gonna make toast. So you have to sometimes step aside and think about how they're thinking. And I know that's difficult because, well, it's just difficult because we don't know how other people are thinking, let alone somebody with autism. So, what we will cover today.
If you see me dipping in and out, it's because I'm just doing family in the background as well. So, yeah.
Yes.
That's why I'm sitting over here, so I can get out quick if I need to.
We are busy people, always. So what we will cover today, so we'll cover what is challenging behaviour, common challenging behaviours. That list is not extensive. What causes challenging behaviour? Meltdowns versus tantrums, because there is a difference. I don't care what anybody says, there is a difference. What not to do. Now that is a little bit of a test. Things you can do in the heat of the moment. Reflection and prevention. And the Meltdown Graph. And then just a little overview. We'll just go over what we've discussed. So, is it like doing siren sounds from an ambulance? They do. The lids to family. No, that's not autism. That's just one thing that one person with autism might do. Everybody with autism is different. Like me, Mr. Rock, Little Rock. Little Rock is autistic. He has autism. Our daughter doesn't have autism. It's very, very complex, and I would recommend looking it up and looking up what it's about if you want to learn more. So let's go into the first part. Fact. So autism isn't just a medical condition, it's also a cultural one. To help people with autism, we must first acknowledge the diversity of human conditions. To do this, we must understand us neuronormal people. We must understand that disability is really a social construction. We create environments that enable or disable people. So essentially what that means is, in our normal world, we'll go out shopping and...
What is normal?
We'll go out shopping and the lights are on, those big bar lights. So somebody with autism, they can hear that electricity running through that light. And it's uncomfortable. It's not comfortable at all. Not everybody with autism will have that.
Yeah, I was going to say, but
Yeah.
from our experience with Little Rock, we certainly know that's the case with them, which we explained about that a couple of streams back.
So our world, it's made to disable people because there's people who are not comfortable with certain things. So all behaviour has a function. Sorry. I'm just looking at me, I need to move me.
Whoa.
All behaviour has a function. To understand why any person behaves in a certain way, it's crucial to understand that humans are reactive and responsive by nature. If we need something, we do what we can to get it. For example, if we're hungry, we make food, then we eat it. This is a survival strategy. If we cannot get what we need, it causes a reaction. For people with autism, it is the same. However, the difficulties in communication they can have can make the person react in a different way than what is considered socially acceptable. Let's look at why that may be. I'm looking over my mic.
Don't worry, Bun. It's all cool. Don't worry.
Hi, Born. Don't worry, we've only just started.
Oh, thank you, Mum Bear.
Oh, Mum Bear, oh, thank you very much. I think
you.
it'll pop up in a moment, I think.
I think yeah.
If not, I need to look at my my settings on this stream.
Yeah, I can't remember if we set it up for...
I did, I think I did.
Yeah.
I'm sure I did.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. So, let's
I'll
look
catch
at
you soon, Bun. Hello and goodbye.
Hello and goodbye, Bon.
We'll see you soon,
Take
buddy.
care. So, common challenging behaviours. Now, I'll be honest with you. This can be any child. All children are going to behave challenging. It's just what they do. Which we'll soon find out again because I am growing. Growing a baby.
If we see Rocksteady Plays in the chat, it's Little Rock typing. Just to let everybody know.
Yeah, Little Rock's in the living room watching us. Even though he can see me.
Just in case anyone gets confused. Yeah. It's not us typing.
So,
magic.
Any behaviour that has a negative impact on the person or their family and friends can be considered challenging. This can include, and it's not limited to, physically challenging behaviours such as hitting, spitting, biting, etc. Because that list could go on and on. Emotionally challenging, swearing, saying hurtful things, shouting aggressively, all those things are emotionally challenging. It's repeating my voice, is it?
I know what it'll be.
What?
It'll be volume in here.
It can't be interfering with this. Am I echoing? Am I echoing, Brian? Is there an echo?
I'm just trying to figure out if it means the repeating your voice to do with autism or if it's an actual echo coming from you.
Oh, if I'm echoing, let me know. If I'm not echoing, we're all good. But being repetitive is, yes, that's not necessarily a challenging behaviour. It can be challenging to, you know, non-neurodiverse people. I don't like saying normal because what is normal? I always say this every time we do these streams. Yeah, I'm echoing. Oh God.
Yeah, I think because the stream's on in the living room, so I've just turned the volume down.
Okay.
If it keeps echoing, let me know and I'll sort it.
Hello, Mason. So, yes, emotionally challenging. It's, you know, anything to do with swearing, saying hurtful things. Self-injurious behaviour, such as headbanging, biting oneself, throwing oneself, any of those things. Pica. Pica's a really interesting one, and it's something that, again, it isn't limited to autism, but it can be, it means basically eating things that aren't food. So, for example, people when they chew the hair, that's pica. Biting your nails and eating the nails, that's pica. Eating things that really definitely aren't food, like wool, you know, bits of clothing or, you know, anything like that. That's challenging to deal with. Demand avoidance. There'll be a whole other stream on this. So there is a part, like a offset of autism called pathological demand avoidance. And it's something we've struggled with. Hi, Sharky.
Hey.
Oh, I'm glad.
Oh, looks
Ryan
like it's
said
good
it's
now.
fine now.
Thanks,
you.
Ryan. Hey, Sharky.
So, avoiding regular everyday demands. Now, everybody has those days where it's like, I can't be bothered. But it's to the point where, you know, it will cause, it will cause an absolute meltdown if you ask them to just do things like getting dressed, brushing teeth, regular everyday things. So there's some of the common challenging behaviours. If you can think of any more, drop it in the comments. Mm-hmm. There's plenty. Excuse me. So, here we go. Let me move myself again.
Whoa.
Whoa. So, when the challenging behaviour is happening, look around during the behaviour. I'm sorry, our little title up there is covering it, but it says, look around during the behaviour. What could possibly be causing this? What happened before? Nobody reacts for nothing. Not one person on the planet is going to react for absolutely nothing. There's always a reason. Hi, Brett. Have you swapped from you Stop the Pigeon to Brett?
You're like a platform pirate, hopping from one to the other.
I'm always doing stuff like biting my nails and other things on that list, and doing everyday things is still a pain, like getting up, yeah. So that's called pathological demand avoidance if it causes you distress.
Little Rock's the same with nails.
Yes.
Nails.
He's got no nails. He bites them right down. And he does that in school, mostly, or when he's worried, you know, which a lot of us do, you know. We do anyway. So what causes a challenging behaviour? It is important to know that communicating for people with autism is difficult, okay? So just them telling you how they're feeling, it's difficult, end of story. This leads to challenging behaviour as they are unable to express themselves properly. This applies to all children, by the way. You know, at the end of the day, they're learning how to communicate. So, as I say, you know, this is going to be useful for anybody who knows a child. Don't have to be a parent to know that this is going to be useful. No two people with autism will have the same triggers. But here are some common reasons behind the behaviour. So reasons why they might bite the nails, reasons why they might absolutely kick off and swear and do things that are just not socially acceptable in our world. So difficulty in processing information. So, hi Ryan. Ryan T. That's the other Ryan. We've got a few Ryans now. We're growing.
A couple of peeps have been having a problem over on Twitch, and I've been having a problem trying to get the YouTube chat up. So I don't know if there's some crazies going on tonight.
Yeah, I think there is actually somebody, or I did see them earlier on working at our green box, so that might be why.
Yeah.
So if the stream goes off, guys, I haven't cut it off.
Well, there is a plane called Ryan here.
There is a plane called Ryan
Butter.
Blame Ryan So, people with autism have difficulty processing information. So if I was to say to Little Rock, oh, you've got a frog in your throat, if he's got a croaky voice, that's a figure of speech. And if I said that to Little Rock, he would go and look in the mirror to see if there's an actual frog in his throat, because figure of speech just doesn't really work with people with autism. They can't process or understand why we use those things. So that's challenging to them. So they may not be able to understand what is being said or asked of them. It needs to be broken down. Environmental factors may also contribute to processing difficulties. So you have to think about the environment in which you're in. Are you out shopping? You know, is it busy? Is there lights? Is there sounds that might make the person feel uncomfortable? If so, those things could be contributing to a challenging behaviour. Sensory overload. They can all be reasons for becoming overwhelmed. Unstructured time. So I'm sure Brett will be able to tell you. He's 30 this year, guys, by the way. He's big 30, big 3-0. Brett will be able to say that he likes structure. Little Rock likes structure. Most people with autism thrive off structure. It really matters. Because to somebody with autism, don't remind me, Brett, don't remind me. So, yes, it can, Brett, you'd probably be like the perfect person to come on our stream, really. Let's have a guest day. We need Brett in. But honestly, shut up, Streamlabs. Please refrain from spamming caps, Brett.
Oh no, Brett's getting modded.
God. Yes, structure matters. Without structure, an autistic child especially doesn't know what's coming next. And if they don't know what's coming next, that causes anxiety. So yeah, that can cause challenging behaviour. Change in routine or familiar surroundings. Now, we know from our experience that if we're decorating or, you know, something in the house changes, Little Rock doesn't like it. Even if it's tidying up, and he likes he loves tidy. Don't you, Little Rock? You like tidy, don't you? Yeah. Doesn't like it when things are messy.
We have to do things over like a period of time.
Yeah, or we have to do it when he's not here, so school or anything like that. He's
out with Nanny Rock or something, because it just doesn't happen.
It won't work, because he gets really quite upset. He doesn't know. He knows what we're doing and he knows what the outcome is, but it's not familiar. So he likes things just the way they are, and if they change, no.
Yeah.
We tend to get a little bit,
especially without an explanation. Yeah. As well.
I'm getting hot.
Yeah. That can be.
He needs explanations
very hard
for everything. why we're doing something, how we're going to do it, when we're going to do it, who's going to be involved, all of that. That just helps them really. So, feeling unwell, tired, hungry, thirsty, do me a favour. When your kid's kicking off, check first that they're not hungry. Because we find that one thing, you know, why Brett, because I just looked at the screen, why Edward might be unsettled is because he's hungry and he's not really registered that. So feed him first, and then if it continues, there's something else. I always thought my autism was mild, but seeing this, it's definitely not. Do you know what, Brett? That there's a massive scale. I mean, there's people with autism who can't speak, walk, and talk. I think, you know, they say about high functioning autism. I think you are high functioning autism. You're very intelligent.
Yeah.
You know, you know everything there is to know about your special topic, which is buses. Anything that moves, really. That's your special topic.
As we know, Brett, you're an absolute genius when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah. I could ask Brett what train or what bus is going to be where at what time. He'll tell me the make and model of the bus. You know, he could tell me everything there is to know. Yeah. So it's autism doesn't disable you at all. It just
call it travelling.
Yeah, you're an expert on travelling, but using public transport to do so.
Yeah. Well, you navigate yourself around every corner of the UK, you know, which is amazing. It's
brilliant. Let's call it a travelling interest. What would you, special interest? That's what it is. It really is, and it's fascinating. It, you know, for people who aren't autistic, to have that one deep interest and know everything there is to know about that subject. That's special. It really is. So, here we go. Meltdowns versus tantrums. Do you like my nuclear explosion? That's kind of what it feels like. It's as instant as that sometimes. You know, you feel as well that there isn't a build-up. And sometimes it just comes out the blue.
The cloud.
That's one big cloud.
The mushroom.
It's a mushroom cloud.
The famous mushroom.
But
natural disasters.
There is always a reason. Always a reason for the chocolate chew. I had to do that, sorry.
I was waiting for that.
Looks like a hug. If only.
Soft
if only.
cloud.
It is a nice looking cloud, like if it wasn't a nuclear explosion. It's fluffy.
It is, yeah.
It's very fluffy. So meltdowns versus tantrums, guys, there is a difference. Don't listen to anyone who says it's just a tantrum. No. It is not just a tantrum. It is a meltdown if there's no initial reason. So here we go. Tantrums have intentions and purposes. So when you're in the shop and your kid sees something they really want and they're not getting it, what's going to happen? They're going to have a tantrum. That is their child is trying to control you or the situation or a person. There is always a reason. The child having a tantrum has control over what they are doing and knows what they want. They know, if I do this, I'll get that. That's what they think. They're behaving in this way to get what they want and they are aware of it. An autistic meltdown is completely different. It's an involuntary coping mechanism. Okay, so if you've ever seen an autistic person having a meltdown, what it looks like is a total lack of control of themselves. And it's different in the sense that the person experiencing it cannot gain self-control and is lost at that moment in the throes of distress. It's not nice. They're not doing it to gain something. They're doing it because they're very overwhelmed by something. And that can be because they can't get what they want, but it's literally losing all control. And often they're not even able to remember their behaviour afterwards or what caused it. So when Edward's had meltdowns in the past and we've said, you know, once he's come down and everything's okay, and a couple of hours later we'll sit down and chat about it, and because we need to learn what it was that led to that, and he won't remember certain things that he did or said during the meltdown, and it's really difficult because then he's like, well, no, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like,
It's almost
yeah,
like
you
a,
definitely did.
like a blackout, total
Yeah.
memory loss, you know.
Yeah. And
Sharky, I definitely didn't have a tantrums to get stuff when I was younger.
sure you didn't, Sharky.
Brett
I
was
wonder if
saying-
that's why you're called Sharky.
Brett was saying over here, but it hasn't come on that
Oh.
chat there. He was just saying on meltdowns. Me as a kid, I must have drove my mum absolutely mad. And tantrums.
So, Brent, you were hard work as any kid is. All children are hard work, mate. So, you're no exception. Don't worry.
For
One
anyone
thing,
who doesn't know, Brett's family.
Brett, yeah.
So, yeah.
I know Brett. He's my cousin. Brett, when he was younger, used to go absolutely crazy when a bus would go past him. Bus, 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 bus. That you would just go out your mind crazy when there was a bus, and we'd be like, all right, yeah, that's nice. Bless you. So here we go. Both neurotypical children and autistic children can both experience tantrums and meltdowns. A meltdown is when all control is lost. A tantrum, let me tell you, autistic children are not exempt from tantrums. I'm sure he's listening to me. He does have tantrums, you know, like any other kid. But understanding the difference, it gives us the ability as a carer to identify possible causes, how to reduce the likelihood of a meltdown, and just helping them. His ears are pinned. They are, Sharky, they are. He doesn't miss a trick. One thing about Edward is he's extra sensory with his hearing.
Yeah.
So the television in the living room could be on really loud, and me and Mr. Rock could be in the kitchen talking quietly. He can't distinguish what's louder. So he will hear everything. So conversations that have to be done away from children have to wait until there's just no children here. So yeah, he's an earwig. So this is a little test for you guys. What not to do, right? And I'm gonna tell you everything you shouldn't do when dealing with any child.
You can see Kimberly in the chat over on YouTube.
Hey, hi Kimberly, happy birthday.
If you hang around for a little bit, we'll just go through this slide.
Yeah.
And then we'll sing happy birthday.
Yes, we need to do a happy birthday. Guys, by the way, Rocksteady merch with lipstick on it. Come on. Get yours now. So
Doesn't come filled with tea.
it's coffee actually. I digress. Sorry, Seniac. It's coffee.
Sharky doesn't come with the lipstick. You get a clean
I can
cup,
pop
don't
one
worry.
in there for you. So what not to do? Do not ignore things first and foremost. Do not ignore things that can become a danger. Objects that can be used and have been
Yeah.
should be removed. If the place you are in, wherever you are, if you're out in the street, if it's dangerous, consider moving to a safer place. End of story. Bottom line is you just need to be safe.
Yeah.
Parents, anyone close by, obviously the person having a meltdown, needs to be safe. Don't ask why. Don't ask why. Don't say, why are you doing that? None of that. They're not hearing you. So don't ask why whilst they are doing the unwanted behaviour. Whether it's rocking back and forward,
Yeah.
banging their head,
You don't
or
want to
anything.
be hanging over them like Snape out of Harry Potter, you know.
Yeah. Breathing down the neck.
Enough's going on as it is.
Yeah, they're doing it because something is making them
Excuse me.
uncomfortable at that moment in time. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. Putting more demands on the person will exacerbate the situation. Limit your verbal communication, because imagine being in the throes of distress and somebody's rattling off the longest sentence. You're not going to hear it anyway. So do not use excessive facial expressions and other displays of emotion, such as huffing, shrugging, anything like that. You know, it's quite hurtful anyway. But a person with autism struggles to... Little Rock's just typing away in the chat.
Well, I think
while
he's
we're-
actually using some of the words that he doesn't like.
yeah,
Some of
so-
the sounds as well. So
he's given us little hints here at the things he doesn't like. So that word that I won't say, because if I say it, he's thinking. I can see him now. You don't like that word, do you, Little Rock? He's smiling at me. Oh, bless him. So, don't use excessive facial expressions and other displays of emotion, huffing, shrugging, anything like that. A person with autism struggles with communication, okay? But they struggle even more with non-verbal communication, facial expressions, anything like that. They're just not gonna see, hear, or understand what it is that you're conveying, and it can be misinterpreted. You could also reinforce the behaviour. So whereas a frown to a child, you know, to us, a frown is, you know, displeasure. It's like, oh no, you know, no, don't be doing that. But to an autistic person, it could be like a, yeah, go ahead, you know, because their brain's wired differently. It could exacerbate the behaviour as well. You know, you probably will make it worse. Do not shout. Do not shout unless the child or person isn't safe. So, for example, if they're, you know, having an absolute meltdown and they run off into a road, shout. Shout all you need to. But don't shout at them when they're just angry or upset, or, you know, just don't. You will cause more discomfort, and you will reinforce their behaviour by showing them that anger is a valid communication tool. So you don't want your child to shout, so what do? You shout at them. What is that teaching them? You know, shouting's okay. It also shows that anger is the right way to behave, to respond, and it's not. You know, shouting is not the right way to behave or respond. Don't physically restrain unless it is to avoid the person harming themselves or others. Don't physically restrain. That should be a last resort. One big thing that I struggle with myself: do not react to bystanders' negative responses. Focus on the child or the person. They need you. So
that's the massive one, because
it's a big one.
it's like what I often say, you know, imagine being in a situation where, you know, it's kind of like, you know, 1 minute everything's okay, and then it's like flicking a switch, and then all of a sudden you're in this environment that's become really stressful. You know, like, say for, I'll use an example, a made up one, like you went out with Little Rock, you know, and everything seems to be running okay, you know, and then all of a sudden something's just gone wrong, you know, and it's just causing them distress, frustration. You know, we could be lashing out or shouting. You know, you could be in a busy environment. You could be in the middle of a city centre. You could be out and about. You could be on a bus.
You could be on top of the cathedral.
You could be
the Liverpool
could
Cathedral
be out and
Tower.
about. Yeah, that was one place where there was a bit of a meltdown on top of the Liverpool Anglican Cathedral, which is like...
Check it out, it's big.
Yeah, you check it out and see how high it is.
But especially when you're melting down on top of it.
What's difficult then is you've got this separate fight then where you could have, multiple people walking past you looking at you, snarl, and looking at the kids, and thinking that they're out of control. You're not handling the situation the way they expect you to be handling it. So you've got it's easier said than done, but you've got to be able to block that out, because say Little Rock is in the stressful mind frame. If one of us then was to take our attention away from that and deal with bystanders who have got nothing to do with it and interfere, and it's going to make the situation worse, even though it might make you feel a bit better because you feel you're letting a bit of steam off. You're telling someone off for interfering. It then makes it a lot more distressing for him, because then he's got to rely on you.
Then he's also
even
more
though he might
aware
be
of
lashing
other
out, but he does need you to rely on, because it's safe if he was to simply just step aside to be dealing with some arrogant adult, then all that security's kind of gone. So it's about good control, being able to just block out the haters and just focus. They're not important.
No.
You do get some, genuine people who might come over and try and help, and that, it's not wrong with that.
But usually it makes the situation worse. Just like,
it's
go
very
away.
few and far
Just go
between.
away.
There's just some.
There's
so many other
awful,
words I could say, but I can't.
Awful people
but
out there.
Some awful
and
people.
We
So
have
it's just good control in the mind. They don't mean nothing. It's just blocking them out completely, like they don't exist, and focus on getting him out of the distressing situation. And
it's what's needed. They need you. So in that moment, they need
100%, you. Yeah.
So that was what not to do. Okay, and that was a test, because I want to ask you, do you enjoy being told what not to do? Any normal person, any autistic person, do you enjoy being told what not to do? Don't do this, don't do that, stop. All of that. It's the one thing we all hate. Remember, when talking to the person, tell them what you want them to do rather than what you don't want them to do. Now, this is really good advice for anybody with children or anybody really. Don't tell people what you don't want them to do. Tell them what you want them to do. They're more likely to respond. Bye, Little Rock. Where are you going? So
he's off on a mission.
Words such as stop, don't, and no are negative commands that will cause rebellion, frustration, and anger. Used sparingly, not often, they can have the impact that we want. So if you find yourself constantly saying no, constantly telling your child to stop, constantly saying don't do this, don't do that, look at how you're talking to your child. Have a think about trying not to say those things as often. Try telling your child what you want them to do or offering alternatives. Because the more we use that word, stop, don't, no, the less effective they are. So when your child really is doing something dangerous, like reaching for a hot pan off the oven, or, picking up a knife off the side, and we go, stop, put it down, quick, those words are going to have less of an impact. Hi, Ryan. Hi, he's back. Those words are going to have less of an impact than if we use them less sparingly. So use them in life and death situations by all means, and shout it, but don't overuse the words.
Yeah, becomes empty over
they become pointless. Stop, 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 stop. If you're constantly saying stop, the kid's gonna go, yeah. Tell them why as well. Tell them why. If you must use them words, then tell them why. They're not stupid. Kids aren't stupid. Overuse of the words will result in little effect. It's important to point out the things we don't want. It really is. Well, let's have a look at the positive things we can do instead. So that was a little test there. I'm sitting here telling you all what not to do. It's not nice. So let's have a look at what we can do.
Mm-hmm. Just before we do, is you still with us, Kimberly?
Are you here, Kimberly?
You still here? Let's give it a sec.
Okay,
See if she's there. It's a member in our community. I know some of you will know, but it's a birthday today.
It is. Everybody wish Kimberly a happy birthday.
Yeah,
yes, she's still here. Hi.
Right. Hang on 1 second.
Be right back.
The army.
Mr. Rock's doing something.
Been waiting for this all
And it
day.
involves food, as always. My watch. My watch is telling me to move. No.
Right, Kimberly, just for you. It's a mince pie with a candle.
Please don't set me on fire.
Little happy birthday song.
Are you ready?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kimberly. Happy birthday to you.
Hip hip.
Hooray!
Hip hip.
Hooray!
Hip hip.
Hooray!
Blow out the candle. Gosh, the smoke off that.
We got a mince pie just dedicated to you. Hope you have a wonderful evening.
For the mince pie.
Yeah. Hope you have a wonderful evening.
Have a great evening, Kimberly.
Happy birthday. Mince pie time.
On the Twitch and YouTube. I know what he's doing.
Always time for the mince pie.
Oh, I can't wait till they go out of stock.
I can.
I'm just kidding. I know you love them.
Mm-hmm.
So, things you can do in the moment. So in the heat of the moment, when there's a meltdown happening, these are things that you can do and should. Respond quickly and calmly and keep your voice controlled. Don't freak out, don't raise the tone of your voice or lower it or get angry or anything like that. Keep it monotone and flat. Remove the person calmly from the environment if it is overstimulating or dangerous. If little Rock's having a meltdown and the washing machine's whirring in the background and the dog's barking, I'm not going to keep him in that environment. As much as, he might not want to be touched or anything in that moment, I will try and remove him and take him somewhere more peaceful and quiet. Usually our bedroom or his, it's a lot more quiet there and calm because we've made them that way.
Yeah, we've had to adapt.
We've adapted our whole world, really. First of all, rule out medical causes. So if they're feeling unwell, that's probably why they're playing up. Edward can get very, very weepy and very short-tempered when he's not well, as anybody else would as well. Hunger and thirst, address those as well. If your child's hungry, they will play up. Not every child in the world recognises when they're hungry or they can't be bothered at that moment. There's more fun things to be doing than eating. And usually eating requires a child in our parent heads, to sit down, don't move, eat your dinner. That's a lot of demands. So, yeah, make sure that they've got everything they need first, because chances are they're probably hungry or thirsty. Plus, having a meltdown can make you hungry and thirsty. Edward tends to get very hungry and thirsty.
It's a lot of
straight
energy
after.
that's getting spent
It
up.
really is.
Yeah,
It gets
takes
absolutely starving after a
body is
meltdown.
going through an absolute battle.
Yeah.
Physically and emotionally.
Even if it's only a very quick meltdown that he's had.
And he can be very, very drained sometimes after it,
Very
but
tired.
you forget that uses up energy. It's like having a car and you've got your foot right down on the gas and you're pushing it with everything that it's got. The tank's going to get empty.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it,
It gets tiring. It is. And, yes, of course, it's tiring for a carer or a parent or guardian or anybody, dealing with that. But think about them as well, obviously. Speak in very short, clear sentences because the person has to process what you're saying. Avoid questions. Don't ask open-ended things. One thing that you can do, and this is in the next point, is support the person to communicate what it is that they need in that moment. So you can open your arms, show them and say hug. If they want a hug, they're going to come to you for a hug. If they respond differently, and because there's times where when Edward's having a meltdown, he doesn't like anybody to come near him. I will always offer for a hug, but there's times where he just absolutely will not want a hug, and that that's okay, that's fine. Don't be hurt by your child not wanting a hug when they're distressed, because one thing we've learned about autism is that physical touch can be very, very aggravating to a person with autism, especially if they're hypersensitive. So, you'll go, oh, come here, and that's the last thing they want. I'm the type of person where if I'm upset, I don't want anyone to hug me because it makes me cry. And the last thing I want to do in that moment is cry. Yes, it's good for you to get your feelings out, but I just don't like hugs in the heat of the moment if I'm upset. Edward does not like to be touched in the heat of the moment. There'll be children out there who want to be hugged at that moment in time. So it's about finding out what they want. Or visually give them choices. So if you think there's a reason that they're doing what, that they're having a meltdown, offer them things. Use one word. Don't go, would you like to have this or this? You're giving them too much choices and they're not going to hear it. It's going to make things worse. Allow them to get it out. Tell them what you want them to do rather than what you don't want them to do. But in the heat of the moment, that can be tricky. So that is best just before the actual peak. Try and avoid that peak, which we'll go into when we look at the chart. There's a chart I need to show you. Redirect to something of interest. Distraction can be an excellent technique. So if you can see that a meltdown's about to happen, oh, look at this, or what about this? Why don't we colour in? Let's do something else. Don't tell them, no, don't start. That's like the last thing that you want to be doing, because then they will start. Allow the person to ride out and calm down afterwards. Once calm, do not start to question, okay? Don't go, why did you do that? The last thing you should do is question. They're going to go back up. So let them calm, and that is not a quick process, okay? It's not going to take 10 minutes. It could take hours. So, next slide. Reflection and prevention. This is my favourite subject on managing behaviour, because it's about changing how we respond, really. Not them. They don't need to change. What we need to do is learn about what upsets them, things that make them uncomfortable, and we change that for them. So this is the learning part, really. Learn the warning signs. Meltdowns vary, they vary dependent on the situation and the individual. Learn what the person's triggers are. You're not always going to find them, especially when they're young. Now, Edward put a word in SHUSH. I'm not going to say it because he's upstairs, but he will hear me because he's got ears like a bat. So that word is a trigger. So when he was a baby, and I'm going, you know, all
it.
that, and he's screaming his head off, even when he was a baby, I did not know that was his trigger.
No, we thought he was just unsettled. So
We just thought, oh, he's just one
You
of
know,
those babies that just
sort of-
cries a lot, you know,
indirectly carrying it on and making
causing him to cry.
it worse, you know. It was
And-
only later on
Yeah.
down the line that we kind of discovered, right, okay, this noise is causing him distress.
And do you know when it was? It was Judge Judy. He was 3, and Judge Judy was on the telly, and she likes that word, and she goes, like, you know, I'm not going to make the sound because I'm just gonna, I'll hear it for the rest of the night. If I do. And all of a sudden, I got smacked in the face because Judge Judy said that word, and I was like, and then I did it to see the reaction, and he came at me,
Yeah.
like, real, you know, upset and anger, and I was like, my God, all this time, that was the trigger. That will kick him off, like, in an instant. So you need to know what the triggers are, because the kickoff can be instantaneous. It can be a build-up. So, hi, Amelia.
Hey.
So, poor kid is in school, or well, at the time in nursery, and that's all they're hearing all day long, you know. He's listening to his trigger all day, every day. And that
suppressing it as
yeah,
well, because
he masks.
he in a different environment,
That's another
he
stream.
will not kick up that reaction like
No.
what he would do at home, because he feels safe and secure here. So
Yeah.
he would just harbour that or harvest it all day, you know, until he comes home, and then boom.
Explosion. So, learn the triggers. They are there. You might not learn them for a long time. 3 years it took us. So, you know, you're not going to go, ping, light bulb moment. You need to really study the person. You
Yeah.
need to know them. Autism triggers won't be the same from one person to the next. For example, we were at the bonfire for bonfire night. Not the bonfire night just gone, bonfire night before. And Edward he had his ear defenders on, because obviously it's fireworks going off sporadically around. And there was another lad who was a teenager, and he had ear defenders on, the same colour, bright pink, like hot pink ear defenders. And they were talking about words they don't like. So that, you know, how old was he then? He would have been 5 or 6.
It was about 2 years ago, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
about 5 or 6.
And he's chatting, saying, I don't like the word. I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to show you. And the little boy, he wasn't a little boy, he was a teenager. He said, oh, that's weird. He said, I don't like the word banana. And Edward's looking at him and he goes, oh, that is weird. That's weird. So, hearing the word banana caused this young lad, when he was younger, to absolutely melt down. Different triggers. Everybody's different. Be aware of cues to an impending meltdown. If your child's restless, showing signs of anxiety, or stimming, which is doing something that calms them down. So, for Edward, what he does is he'll lie on the floor and he'll roll a toy car, and he'll watch the wheels going round and round, and that's his way of self-regulating.
Yeah.
And if he does it more often, we know something's up. It can be a sign that they're a bit more prone to a meltdown. Use avoidance. It's not wrong to avoid situations that you know are going to distress the person, the child. countless times we've had friends who were like, oh, you know, come the park with us. Nah, you're okay. You do your park. You do your normal things. For us, it's not a normal experience because Edward struggles to wait. He struggles with the chaos of being in a playground, the unstructuredness of it, children pushing in, having to wait. You know, those things caused many a meltdown for us, for Edward. And sometimes, you know, you feel like, I should do those things. I should take him to the park. So what if he has a meltdown?
Yeah.
No, not so what, because it upset him. And then you feel guilty.
Yeah.
And then you're in this horrible cycle where you're like, did I do the right thing?
Well, then it goes back to one of the other slides as well, which is talking about, you know, behaviour, but it's about other people's behaviour as well, because you've got a lot of adults there again.
Yeah.
Who are staring, children are staring, you know, almost like they're all looking at you as if to say,
what are you gonna do about it? You know, it's horrible.
You
it
can
really
block
is.
that out, but you know, you almost would feel then like he's in the spotlight, you know, on stage. You know, everyone's looking at me now, everyone's staring at me, and
then that's even worse because people with autism do not like full direct eye contact. Most people, not all people with autism, but most struggle with very direct eye contact. So, you know, there's been times where we have been at the playground and he'll be behaving in such a way and a kid will be like, you know, right in his face staring, and that is just going to send him off the rails. So avoidance is fine. If you need to avoid a place, avoid it. If you need to tell people that, you tell them that, and you tell them why. And if they don't understand, that's their problem, not yours, not your child's. It's their problem.
No, can't see the comments up on here, but it's Dexter.
Hi,
Hounds
Dexter.
Says, I have autism.
Do you have autism's cool? So we're talking about that. Hi, Mum. My mum's just come in. We're just talking about managing behaviour, and we're up to reflection and prevention. You will be able to catch up on this stream. Also, if anybody's watching and would like the PowerPoint that I've made, drop us your email. You can go to our Discord, which I will probably ask Amelia to put the link, because I'm trying to think of how I would put it in the YouTube.
I can have a look.
Yes, so it's on the end of our videos.
It won't go on to Twitch. That's the only thing, because I haven't got dual streaming on my phone. But I'll take a look now.
Okay, it's EPT. I'm not sure.
Hi, Roscoe.
Hi, Roscoe. How are you? Hope you're good.
Don't apologise for being late, bud.
No, it's okay. It's recording anyway.
It's just nice to see you popping in. Hope you're doing good.
Thank you very much. I think he said he's going to put it in for us. Who said? Dexter. Yeah, if somebody could put the link to our Discord. If anybody would like this PowerPoint, I am more than happy to email it to you or send it to you on Discord, whichever way you want. So yes, use avoidance. It's fine, okay? If you need to avoid the situation because it's going to upset your child, you avoid it. Always prepare them before anything. Surprises are all nice and all good and well, but to an autistic person, it may be too much to deal with. Not always, you know, it not always going to be too much, but it can lead to a meltdown. Knowing what is coming next for a child, any child, it instills trust. So, you know, there's times where you think it probably can't be avoided, where, you know, one of their friends is having a party and, you know, they might have hired a bouncy castle or a surprise guest, maybe Superman or, you know, anybody. Sometimes, you know, you will have to say to your friends, look, what is it? What is it that you've got planned? Because I need to make my child aware. Otherwise, you know, I'll come to your party by all means, but we could be dealing with a meltdown here, and then you've got a meltdown in the middle of
talking about this
party.
a while ago. I can't remember if you mentioned it on one of the streams or if it was just a conversation that we were having. But yeah, it is that kind of judgment we have to, which is a shame sometimes because you don't want
you want them to
break
have
a surprise.
Yeah.
So, but we have to kind of
judge
figure
whether
out
it's best.
and judging it sometimes can work very well, and sometimes it just throws itself back in your face. But
Yeah.
it's that kind of forward looking, will this really cause them distress, so we have to kind of break it to him, which helps him then to enjoy the event.
Yeah, because he knows what's coming, he knows what to expect.
Yeah.
Things like bouncy castles. Bouncy castles sound fantastic, and they're great, and Edward loves them. But there was a time where he absolutely hated them because of the noise, the motor that they have.
Yeah.
That's quite loud. And, I'd have to think, is it best?
Machine that sounds like a lawnmower going crazy at the back for hours,
They're loud. And if you think about it, that kind of sounds like the word that he really, really hates, the SH word. The poor kids, if you go into a surprise party and they've got a bouncy castle, you're going to end up with a meltdown, and we've had many. Because
we've had a few.
Of that. Like, if I wrote them down in a book, it'd be that thick.
It'd be a tome.
It would. So, another very important thing, allow plenty of time to relax after a meltdown. It's so important for them to be able to come down and come down safely. And I don't mean like physically safe, I mean knowing that they're not going to get questioned.
Yeah.
They're not going to be harassed. They're not going to get punished. I absolutely disagree with punishing anyway. Yes, there needs to be consequences for things, but
we always have to just judge, depending on the situation, how we deal with it.
Meltdown?
There's no textbook.
Was it a tantrum?
That's it. So we're constantly having to play detective, judge and jury. It's so you have to be very careful with that.
Especially straight after a meltdown. The person will still be in a delicate state, and it could lead to another meltdown if you start questioning them, or go straight into something else, like, oh right, okay, let's put that film on then that we said we were going to watch 2 hours ago. No, just don't. Let them do what they need to do to come down. It's very important that. So we're going to look at the Meltdown Graph. It's not called this, but I've called it this. So there's two of these. This one's your general one, but there is another one I want to show you. So I'll go through this one quickly. So as you can see, it goes from 1. Hang on, do you know what? I'm gonna get rid of myself over here so that you can see it. So as you can see, it's got number 1 up to number 5. And then it comes back down on the other side to 1. So 1 is where we're all nice and calm, everybody's at 1 usually. Something usually happens and then it turns into 2. And then it goes up and it gradually gets worse from there. So number 1 is the foundation. So that, sorry, I just totally had a blank then. I went totally blank. I was just looking at the amount of viewers and I was shocked. Thank you all.
I'm slowly climbing up to 5 with the mince pies.
Oh no.
Going out of stock. Anyway.
So yeah, that's where, everybody's at their base level. You're comfortable. You're home inside your head. Number 2 is where the signs of early stress. It could be biting nails, stimming more than usual. It's time to refocus the person's attention away from whatever the stressor is, if you can see one. Number 3 is where you need to start trying to de-escalate. 3 is not very far from 5. So the time in between 3 to 5 could be seconds. It could be minutes, could be hours, but you know, it really could be seconds. So you have to literally it's 7 viewers just on. There's 11. We have 11 viewers. Hi guys.
Yeah, combined, I think. Yeah.
So yeah, you have to be on the ball at 3. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. That's where you'll have to start getting a bit more in tune with the situation, because it'll be make or break then if you're not using your awareness to kind of think, oh, okay, this could escalate somewhere now.
Yeah.
Get prepared.
Be prepared at number 3. This is going nowhere. Number 4. This is where it's very, you're getting to the peak. You're really, really at the peak then. You have to decide now, what do I do? Provide alternatives.
Yeah.
Totally. You need to take the person at 3, really. You need to take the person away from the stressor or remove the stressor.
Yeah. In our
End
house,
story.
it's putting on the bomb disposal suit. 'Cause
body armor on, yeah.
Explosions.
Literally, when we get to 3, I'm looking around for things that could become a weapon, because Edward, when he's in that frame of mind, he will totally lose control, and he doesn't know what he's doing at that moment. So I have to look around very quickly and see what can be used and remove it.
Yeah.
And sometimes he's on to me and he's like, why are you moving that? And I'm like, no reason, just putting it over there. I'm just tidying up.
Yeah.
So remove stuff at 3 if your child is the type of person to lose full body control. Absolutely no choice making at 4. You have to absolutely, totally model calming strategies, make sure everything's safe, and just go to an alternative, even if it means like what you call it, like giving them a reward of some kind.
Thanks for the follow, Kimberly.
Thank you, Kimberly. So if it means distraction with sweets, that's fine. Do it. Do what you can to avoid number 5. It's fine. Safety and dignity at number 5. They are at their peak anxiety, totally out of control, hitting, throwing, biting, swearing, crying, all of that. Don't bother talking. Don't bother problem solving, because it's not going to work. They are not hearing you in that moment. They have lost full control. And anything you try and do in that moment is going to aggravate it. So all you can do is keep them safe. Keep yourself safe. Keep others safe. Try and make sure nothing gets broken, but it's not that important as long as the person's safe. Number 4, I totally agree with this. It says redirection here can result in a re-escalation to 5. So if they're just coming out of number 5, their full-blown meltdown, and you go, oh, let's have a look at this. No, just don't even go there, because you are going to cause a re-escalation. They are going to go back up to 5, and you've just failed there, because they're going to have 2 meltdowns now. The person should be supervised, but leave them, let them come out of it. Give them something to do to relax, but nothing that's too much, And now I say give them something to do, I don't mean like colouring in or something like that. I mean, just make the place calmer. Get rid of any noises. Turn the telly off. Make the lights dimmer. Do all of those things that are calming. Do not make discussions or decisions, and certainly don't give them consequences at that point, because you will go back right up to 5.
Yeah,
number 3, when they're after that point where the heavy breathing and the calming down. So Viv Taylor, my mum, has just said go for a walk. Yeah, well, number 3 and number 2 are when we would do that with Edward. If we do it at number 4,
Could be 50-50.
no,
But
you know, at number 4 it could go either way, and it's probably not safe to take him out for a walk in that time. He would need to be at 3. So normally where we would throw a walk in is before, body armour's still on, where we would suggest a walk is when he's at number 3 on the way up the scale. So, you know, if we can see that he's getting stressed, you know, that a meltdown is likely, we're not going to wait till after 3 to take him for the walk, because if he reaches 4, there's an impending meltdown. There's probably no way once you reach 4 that they're going to come back down from that, really. And it'd be dangerous to kind of give him anything else to do at that point. So at 3, don't discuss the incident still. Use encouraging supportive words. Number 2 is use calm redirection. So go for the walk, you know. Shall we put that film on? You know, that's fine then, but it can take a long time for them to come down from that. It's about being aware of, you know, how long it takes them to come down and all of that. And then back down to number 1 is where, you know, they're totally fine, absolutely fine. You know, there's no risk of them going back up, and they probably won't. Now I want to show you the other graph that I've got, because this has something really important. I'm just gonna, right, so this is the other graph I've got, and do you see the way it's similar in the sense that you have a baseline, it goes up and it comes down, but notice that this one comes down further. Okay, so the reason that this is, I'm just going to try and open it now on my screen so I can see it, because that's tiny on Streamlabs. The reason that this comes down further is because right after a meltdown or a tantrum or anything that's upset us, we actually feel worse. So we go under our baseline, and that point where you can see it, it's at number 5. It's called post-crisis recovery. So that is where your child is feeling the aftermath of adrenaline. So they've been really crazy, throwing themselves, hitting, kicking, screaming. It's a massive adrenaline rush, and it's really important to understand that this is the period where damage can be done if you punish them or you tell them off. You know, you're going to cause mental damage if you do any of those things while they're in this period. They're going to be feeling remorseful. They're going to be feeling tired, sad, guilty, hungry as well. They may sleep, they might cry, and they'll be hard on themselves. You know, encourage them at this point. Do not discuss consequences. Promote coping skills. Tell them, you know, it's okay. Everybody gets upset. You know, how we deal with it is, you know, we let's have a hug. Let's talk about something nice. Bring them back up. Allow them to return to that baseline. Don't put them down when they're feeling down already. That's really important. So, although this one here is a really, really good graph. Where are we? Hang on a moment. This one here is really good. It is missing a crucial part, and that crucial part is what that dip where it goes down to 5. You know, when your child is back down to their base level, that is the best time to introduce things such as a feelings chart. You know, go over some social stories, give them calming things to do, yoga, little mind breaks, and ask your child what, you know, would it work if I gave you 3 cards, a red, yellow and a green, and you can tell me how you're feeling. You know, talk to them, ask them what they want if they're able to. Ask them what they would like. We've done it with Edward. and he, you know, they've worked for him.
Yeah, we've
So
tried a good few things.
Yeah. Talk about, you know, if they want something to change, you know, do you like doing this? Don't you like? What do you like? What don't you like? You know, at the end of the day, we're all human.
Helps in the areas where you struggle getting that emotion across into words, you know.
Yeah. It is hard when they're younger. It is. And, you know, I think it's hard because obviously they're not as verbal. They can't tell you those things, and, you know, you kind of have to go off your instinct. What's best? Don't know. Let's try this. And it's okay to try 10 million different things. Don't lose hope if one thing doesn't work, because the chances are you're gonna go through life anyway, and something will work, and then the next day it won't. You know, you think, oh, that was it, I should have done that all along, but then the next day it won't work. So, you know.
Oh, no problem, Kimberly. I could see your message over on YouTube. You have a great evening.
Enjoy the rest of your evening, Kimberly. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So yes, try things. Try them. If you know, even if you think it's not going to work, give it a go. It might work. You might surprise yourself, and your child might surprise themselves too. So the last slide is points to remember before the next meltdown. So this is basically discussing that scale a little bit more in depth. So at 1, only have discussions when the child or person is at their baseline, number 1 on that graph that we've shown you there, not that one. That, hang on a second. Let me just get rid of that. There we go. And I'll move myself up here. So only have discussions when the child is at their baseline, which is number 1 on the graph. It's the only time you'll be listened to effectively, because they're truly calm. You know, they're in a good place. It's important that, you know, that you recognise when they're in a good place. Don't start discussing things when they're not. You know, it's not going to work. Number 2, recognise early signals to an impending meltdown. This is where you're going to get your signals, your nail biting, your rocking, you know, any tics that they might have. I mean like tics, so they might twitch or...
Tics,
you know.
Yeah. The parasite tick.
Yeah. Stimming more than usual. Try and refocus them away from the stressor, you know. By all means, if the stressor is your washing machine or something like that, you can't just turn the washing machine off. You know, you got to wash the clothes. Try and refocus them elsewhere, if you think you might know what it is. If you're not, try your best to figure it out. Look at your surroundings, because it could be something sensory.
And if all else fails, you know,
Ask
check yourself out
as well.
Yeah.
Give yourself a check.
Because it could
you
be
might be doing
something
that's
that you've
irritating.
done that or said something, and it could be something new that's discovered. As well. So, you know, it could be a word or sound.
Yeah. Number 3, you are close to reaching the point of no return. Like, this can
Just
be like
before
a split
as well,
second
one thing, what can be tricky is TV.
Yeah.
As well, because there could be an advert that just came on and something's happened and you might not have heard it, but they have. So you might walk in and you're like, "Whoa, what's happening?" And
what the
you could
heck?
be kicking off. You won't discover it because it was maybe on telly for like 30 seconds. So that can be a tricky one.
It can. It can.
But always bear that in mind. If all else fails,
Yeah.
think it could have been something on there, even though you might not know what it was. So you can maybe try and, you know,
yeah, Mum, I
switch
did
over to something
explain.
else.
I did explain what stimming means. So stimming is where they're doing something that's self-stimulating. So Edward stimming is doing this with his cars and staring at the wheels, you know, as they're going by his eyes, like that close. How that doesn't make him go gozzy, I don't know, but you know, it's doing something that is self-stimulating and self-regulating as well. So it regulates their emotions, it calms them down. We all do things that we don't realise. You know, some people twirl the hair or bite the lip. You know, those things are, it's body language that brings us back to ourselves, our centre of gravity. So, number 3, you were close to reaching the point of no return. You have to remove the stressor or the person away from the stressor at number 3, or it is going to just very quickly go 3, 4, 5. And you've had it at 5. So number 4 is danger zone. You have to model calming strategies. You have to remain calm yourself. End of story. You know, if you lose control, all control is lost. Provide an alternative. You have to provide an alternative at this point. Right, let's go do this. You know, there's been times where we've been at a park, for example, and you can see it happening, and I've had to we just have to go, you know, at that moment in time, because if he stays there, it's not going to get any easier for him. And that's the important point. You know, you're looking after your child here. You've got to do what's right for them and what's comfortable for them. So 4's danger zone. Do what you can to avoid 5. If that means going and getting an ice cream, do it. I am not going to shout at you or judge you for that, and nobody else should either, because if it's your child, it's your responsibility, it's nobody else's. You know, they let them think what they want. You do what you have to avoid a meltdown. Especially if violent, you know, if your child can be violent in that moment, then you absolutely do what you can to avoid it. I'm just reading a comment here. Hang on. Yeah, it is, Roscoe. It's like a delayed process of how a volcano would erupt. It is, because it is a process, and then it comes down as well. So yeah, it is very much like a volcano. So 5, you're at the point of no return. Stay calm, keep in control. Don't shout. Don't try and reason with them. Only shout if they're in danger. If they're in danger, by all means shout. You know, and then you're letting others be aware of danger as well, you know. But don't try and reason with the person. They're not hearing you. Yeah, like a bottle of Coke. You know, you shake that bottle of Coke, it's gonna get pressure. It's gonna get harder, and then it's just gonna explode. You've got to let it ride out at 5. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's horrible, but you have to let it ride out, albeit safely. Ensure that you have to supervise. They can hurt themselves at that point, or other people. At 4, if you attempt to redirect, when they're coming back down and they're at 4, if you attempt to redirect the person, you're going to cause a re-escalation, or you're very likely to cause a re-escalation to 5. The person should be allowed time to calm. Don't conversate. It's too much information. They're trying to calm down, you know. The last thing you want is someone like, you know, just no, just don't talk. This period can last a while, okay? Don't expect the come down to be quick. Yeah, that you know, from 3 to 5 went like that, but the come down can take a long time, and it is hard. It's hard not to sometimes. You know, you want to know why you want it, but allow them to come down. You know, in whichever way they need. It's not going to be quick. So number 3, when they're coming back down, again, number 3, use soft, supportive and encouraging words. Don't discuss the incident still. The person's likely to be feeling upset and guilty. Discussion now can lead to emotional damage. So remember that second scale that I showed you, where it goes like that, then it goes up, then it goes down, and it goes further down, and then it comes back up to baseline. That is, in my head, that's number 3 when they come down. You know, that's where they're feeling really guilty and sad, and You know, they probably don't remember half the things that they did and said in the heat of the moment, because we all know when we're angry, we say things we don't mean. And, you know, a child, that's upsetting. So
You've got Roscoe saying a meltdown can last a few minutes in some cases. However, the recovery from one sometimes can take a few days.
yes, it really can. And you know what, that
was spot
that
on,
point from 1 to 5 going for the start of it can go so quick like that, but the come down can be very, very hard, and you could be at number 3 for days. Okay, so you know that depressive feeling afterwards, you can be stuck there for days, you know. And that is the same for anybody, you know, whether you're autistic, whether you're not autistic. Everybody has that scale. We all go through that scale. You know, when something's upset us, or, you know, I'd say, you know, the majority of people probably stop at 3 and then don't go up to number 5. But that is when it's crisis point. Number 5 is crisis. But that come down, yeah, you're right, Roscoe, it can last a long time. 2, calm redirection. So when they're nearly at base level, you know, calm redirection, still avoid the discussion because they're still feeling tender. Talk about something nice that you could do together, or an interest that the person has. Try and separate from the instant, you know, that can be discussed anytime. At the moment, they're calming down. Now, put this at the bottom because number 1, back down to number 1, is the most crucial part on that graph. It's where positive relationships, trust, love, and all those important things about being human, that's where they are. It's where those positive relationships are built, and their trust in you. It's baseline. It's where we all feel the most safe and comfortable. Use this time to introduce feelings cards, social stories. What is going on? My watch is going crazy.
I was just getting rid of some spam in the YouTube chat, but like Roscoe mentioned, he said, I remember one case back in July when I was at work, when I did have a meltdown, which was horrible, and it took several days to eventually settle down again.
Yeah, it can do. You know, once that meltdown's hit, the come down from it can just be so long. And it's that point where you're low, you know, you're below your baseline. So you've got that build up and then you go down. That real down period can last a long time. And that's hard to get through that, especially, you know, if people are questioning you just leave me alone. You know, you're just trying to heal at that moment. So, yeah, you're going to be feeling guilty, and there's all kinds of things that you're going to be feeling. So, the baseline, when you're back to that nice normal, I always do this for the word normal, use that time to introduce feelings cards, social stories, tell them about any changes. If you're autistic, use that time to think, what could I have done differently, or what could other people have done differently to make things easier for me. You can discuss the meltdown at that point, you know, it's okay to discuss it at that point, but avoid making the person feel guilty about their actions during the meltdown, because the meltdown was a loss of control. They are going to be very aware that they lost control. It's not going to help if you start saying, well, you know, you did this and that. Of course, you know, it's like an argument between a couple. When you're in the heat of an argument, you're saying things you don't mean. Honest to God, I don't even know when I've argued with John. We just don't argue. But I know that a lot of people do, and people say things that they don't mean to each other. don't make that, you know, you're not going to bring it up. It's not really good relationship skills to start bringing up past arguments and things like that. It's not going to help any future situation, is it? Well, you said this in the last argument. It's just not going to work. Yes, it is good to educate family and friends. It is. You need to let them know. So if you've got a child with autism and, you know, they, you know, let them know.
Well, it's like Roscoe said here again. He just said, sometimes when I talk to my mum about my meltdown, sometimes, although nowadays understand more what I had, it's like working out why a meltdown, but what might have led up to
Yes,
it.
yeah. It's about learning what the triggers are.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not that apparent. Even the person having the meltdown might not know what it was that caused it. So you'd have to do a real good digging, you know, especially as a parent, especially if they can't tell you what it is as well. You know, they're difficult things to deal with, but we try our best. That's what we do. So discuss what everybody else involved could have done to avoid it. You know, that way you're not blaming the person for what they did. You know, yeah, they might have smacked you, you know, when they're having a meltdown, but like I said, there's always a reason, there's always a trigger. Doesn't mean it's acceptable, and there does have to be consequences, but that's up to you to decide what those consequences are. Just do not do it when they're feeling low, because you are going to damage them emotionally. And ask them, you know, if they're verbal, ask them what you could do to help in future. You know, what could I have done differently? What would you like me to do next time? They're things I ask Edward. I say, you know, what would make that better, son? You know, would it be better if blah blah blah? And he will, sometimes he will say, I apologise, next door's hammering.
Got some DIY.
So ask them, you know, if they're verbal, ask them. If they're not verbal, there's ways that you can ask, you know, there's cards, there's all kinds that you can make your own cards, you know. I'm actually trying to start a little side business up on Etsy, and once I get a few things up, I will show you it, because one thing that Edward struggled with was the feelings cards that you can get. You know, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling grumpy? Are you feeling happy? All of those. Now, they're all good and well, but Edward couldn't really differentiate between, you know, like the clip art faces that you get and an actual human face, you know. So I've made
the clip art that was on there is just so outdated, you know. It doesn't resemble a human.
It doesn't even resemble a human, you know. It's got a bald head, or, you know, it doesn't look human.
I mean, to some people it might work, you know, but visually for him it just really didn't.
Yeah,
do
and they were
anything,
very
you know.
basic. Like, some of them are just a head, like a smiley face emoji.
Yeah.
Emojis are fantastic, but not everybody is gonna interpret that. For example, there's some emojis that do this. You know, that emoji does that, John.
Yeah. No.
That emoji can mean 10 million different things.
Yeah.
What about that then? Or I'm thinking. You know, it could mean
That's
10
it.
million
Well,
different
it's like a
things.
lot of things that can be misinterpreted a whole lot as well, you know, because it can, you know, like that can be, especially to kids now, because, you know, it's like emojis, text, all that stuff, you know, so sometimes it can be, I'm confused, or it can be sarcasm, or, you know, everything just gets interpreted in 100 different ways, so it has to be something that's really clear, but as clear as it can be.
To Edward,
with a physical face. Yeah.
It had to be human, you know. I couldn't draw a picture of a dog and say that's a dog. You know, he'd probably look at it and go, it's not a dog, it's a cat, or, you know, he would have to see a photograph to know exactly what it was. So I've made some things on Etsy My mum's laughing at me. So I've made some feelings cards, and they're on Etsy. And they're just downloadable. I don't have to print them out or anything, and people can buy them. And it's human faces, rather than clip art things, because I just can't be doing with clip art. So yeah. So I think on the next stream, what do you think we should discuss on the next stream? Has anyone got any ideas?
I was just reading a couple of comments from Roscoe as well, because he says in an adult, you probably would have more time to prepare or notice a meltdown might occur. Unfortunately, in a child, it's different because they are still developing.
Yeah.
You only get a short time frame.
And
he mentions after that, he just said it's like with a meltdown, it's like making a mistake, and then you try to learn from it if you can.
Yeah, if you can. And you're right, if you can. You know, at the end of the day, each and every meltdown could be different. You know, it might not be the same thing that's triggering. And we don't always know what that is. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I suffer from anxiety and depression. There's days where my anxiety is like through the roof. I can't function. And I don't know why that is. You know, I'm like, I don't know why, you know. I honestly couldn't say exactly what it is that day that makes me feel making me feel anxious. It just depends on the day, on age as well. It depends on a lot of things.
There's a lot of factors, yeah.
There's so many factors that make us feel the way we feel.
And things change over time then as well. So it's
because what Edward would melt down at in the past isn't necessarily going to be what he melts down at in the future. You know, it's everybody changes all the time. Not much, but we do. You know, we do. So I think if next time, if we go into dealing with other people, maybe, how other people respond really, you know, can be a trigger. It can be a trigger to a meltdown. So I'm sorry, I'm going like this because baby's moving like crazy and it's making me uncomfortable. So yeah, you know, maybe if we talk about dealing with other people, because that, you know, that can be a really tricky one.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, we'll have a think through the week.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can definitely cover on that because we've got quite a lot of examples that we could go over.
We've had some crazy situations
but we can
with other people.
Definitely save those stories for the stream.
Yeah, that's a whole other stream in itself, isn't it? What would people like? That's what I was just asking, Mum. Is there anything anybody would like to talk about on the next stream? Is there anything that you think we should cover? Triggers, yeah. Triggers are good to talk about.
Yeah, Roscoe said dealing with other people is a good subject to cover for your next autism chat.
Yeah,
we could probably combine both.
We could, yeah, because
there'd be enough time. We usually try and you know, give or take, stick around the 2 hour mark. So we'll put something together on triggers and
dealing with other people.
Dealing with other people, yeah, because it's an everyday thing.
It is.
You know.
It is. Others is a minefield. It really is, Mum.
Yeah.
I think, you know, there's been that many situations for us.
Yeah.
Some really awful situations and some really nice situations as well.
That's what I was going to say.
Aren't always helpful. So.
We won't just cover all sorts of like the negative sides. You know, there's a lot of positive sides in there, like which are briefly skimmed over when I said you do get some people who will try and come and offer help. You could, like, if you're in, you know, you could be in a busy city centre. You've got 100 people passing it all, looking at you, you know, or just looking at the child or whatever, you know, just really just being nasty. But then you've got that one person who might just come over, and even if they can't help, it's still that kindness of them taking time out of their busy life to offer a stranger some help. So.
Yeah. My mum saying Dobby's the man bringing a lollipop. Yes, when Edward was having was having a bit of a
Yeah,
meltdown
pension
in a
one.
garden centre, you know, a lovely, beautiful, relaxing garden centre with pretty things
Yeah.
that could smash, you know. It's like sending a bull into a china
it.
shop.
And you know what? Sometimes it just takes that one person just to take a risk and come up with
It
something
does.
completely different that just de-escalates the whole thing.
I'm gonna change back.
Which
to
is
this. It
pretty
does.
incredible sometimes, you know. Doesn't always work, but when it does, it's like a gift from the gods.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah.
He did at the time. He said, "My grandson's like that,"
Yeah.
and I thought, sometimes as well, you know, when you're the parent of an autistic child, or you know someone who's autistic, and you see somebody else when you're out and about in the shopping centre or whatever, and it's kind of like you go, I've
Yeah.
got your back, girl, don't worry. I know what it's
know.
like. It's like that. You know, you have a moment where you just...
Some memes I can think of. For
There
that
are,
one,
yeah.
Like, yeah.
There's a few where you see, you know, autism parents. You're like, yeah, I got ya. We have one of them. Yeah, we have one of them at home. Sometimes I've gone, don't worry, you know. Or I'll try and make the person feel better. I'll say, you know, my son's got autism, you know, and especially, I don't want to assume that their kid's got autism because they could just be having a tantrum, you know. But I'll say, oh, my son's got autism, and he just absolutely, you know, hates this or loves that. Or,
sometimes,
you know,
yeah,
and
like
sometimes it can just make someone feel a little bit better. Sometimes not, but sometimes it can. So we'll talk about the positive things as well as the negative things. Do you want to come and say bye?
Wanna say
We're
bye-bye?
going to say bye now, Eddie.
Bye.
Yeah, come over.
Bye.
Go on. Oh, got something in your eye.
No.
Yeah,
So-
feel free, Brett. I've just seen your message over on YouTube. Yeah.
Yes,
Be good
that'd
to
be
see
lovely.
you again, mate. Good to see you again.
Next Sunday, this Sunday or the Sunday after. Next is always a confusing one to me.
But we'll put something together. We'll cover those topics next week.
Yeah, we will.
I think it's
yeah.
important.
Triggers are a good one. You know, the thing is with triggers, that everybody's triggers are different, but
After the
we can
23rd.
cover like
No
the
problem.
common triggers.
Yeah, well, we
No
can we
worries,
can talk
Brett.
about the triggers that we know that are related to
Yeah, yeah.
Little Rock, because obviously it's, as you all know, there's billions of triggers out there, trillions of them, but we can talk about more in depth about the triggers with Little Rock, how we came about discovering them. You already kind of know about one, but there's several others as well.
Yeah.
And we can sort of cover over what we do sort of day to day to try and not
Try and avoid
have that
it.
trigger,
And like I said,
get
avoid
triggered.
them.
That's the-
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
You know, at the end of the day, it's fine to avoid things. You know, if you feel that it's distressing
Yeah.
for the person or the child or whatever, if it's distressing, don't do it. You know, don't force yourself into these positions that are going to upset your child. That because everybody else does them. No.
Yeah,
No,
and we can
just
probably
avoid.
cover over the areas as well when triggers are unavoidable.
Yeah.
And how
washing machines.
how we deal with that
Yeah.
too. So yeah, I think we can do that.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So guys,
Well, we've got just to let everybody know as well, we'll be back in with another Friday stream tomorrow,
Friday.
live at 5 with the Rocksteady vibes. So we'll be doing that for
Yes.
the ones who want to come in and play some Roblox. But
we're going to say Robux.
yeah, but we appreciate everyone popping in
We
today.
do. And on the 28th in our Discord, we will be running a giveaway.
Yep,
So
just be a general
bot
run-of-the-mill giveaway that everyone who's in the Discord can enter.
that isn't bugged or botted or whatever. You know? That's a whole other
Scams.
story. It's not a scam. Just ask the community. They did get their gift cards.
No
So,
problem, Brett. Can see your messages there. Yep, just let us know.
Take care, Brett. Take care, everybody, and thank you all so much for joining. Thanks as well for the questions and the discussion. Thank you, Brett and Roscoe, and thank you, Little Rock, for popping in as well.
I had to go because I was watching that funny guy, Locust.
He had to go because he was watching Locust on
bashing
YouTube.
YouTube.
Don't tell Seniac. Oh, so take care, guys. Take care. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.